So after you've planted an avocado tree, I do 4 or 5 things to get the tree growing well and to keep it safe. Uh, I add some compost. You could also add some type of like sort of weak fertilizer. Don't add anything heavy to a young avocado tree, but some type of weak, like organic fertilizer. I happen to use compost. I mulch. I protect it from rabbits who like to chew on the trunk. And then finally I make sure the trunk is protected from the sun. So I'll put the compost on first. And I'll water it in. After I've watered that in pretty well, then I'm going to put a sort of a trunk guard around it, which also will help keep the mulch in place. It's just a ring of concrete reinforcement wire with some poultry wire wrapped around it. Keeps rabbits off, even squirrels from chewing it. It keeps your kids from knocking it over. And it also keeps the mulch in place. So I'll add some mulch in there now. That's just a bunch of chipped grapevines and trees and corn stalks. You can use whatever. Uh, Notice that I pushed it away from the trunk a little bit. The main reason for that is you want to be able to check the moisture in that root ball on the young tree during the first couple months to make sure you're always keeping it moist. If you've got a bunch of mulch over it, you're less likely to poke in there and check. Also, you don't want a ton of mulch up against the trunk of the tree because you don't want to keep the trunk wet. So I'm going to add a little more mulch around the outside now. I'll go ahead and water that in. And then after I'm done with that, I'll check the trunk to see if it's exposed to the sun. Young avocado trees oftentimes don't have many branches down low, and the bark or the wood on their lower trunks, or sorry, just the outside of their lower trunks is thin and very susceptible to sunburn. So you want to see, especially if it's exposed on the south side, and you want to paint it or protect it in some way. You can wrap it with paper, you can paint it with white latex paint, or I've just mixed up some Surround, which is a clay product, in a squirt bottle. You can just spray that on the trunk. It doesn't look like much when it's going on, but it will dry to be a milky white, and it'll protect the trunk from sunburn. Here's another tree that I sprayed, and it has dried, and you can see how white it is. Finally, I'll definitely be restaking this tree, and I'll put some irrigation on it, but I've already made a video about irrigation, and so you can watch how I water my trees. And then in terms of staking, I'll make a separate video about staking young trees, but you generally do want to restake them. Not necessarily right when you plant, but don't wait too long to restake them.